Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. From what we can see, it looks like you've been thinking about maybe moving out of the US.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe even thinking about just getting out.
I hear you.
I get it. This election season can really make you want to pack your bags.
Yeah.
And it seems like everyone's at least thinking about moving abroad these days.
Right.
We're going to dive into an article from Forbes today called How to Move Out of the US by Laura Begley Bloom.
Okay.
And it was just updated, so we've got all the latest info.
Great.
You know what's wild? Inquiries about moving abroad have gone up like 500% lately.
Wow.
And 65% of people say the election is a big reason why.
It is fascinating to see how current events,
Yeah.
really are impacting people's life choices.
Totally. Okay, so let's say you're seriously considering this. Where do you even start? Visas always seem so intimidating
Right.
to me.
You're right. Visas are often the first big hurdle, but it doesn't have to be a complete mystery. The key is finding the right type of visa for your situation. Are you thinking about working abroad, retiring, or maybe embracing that digital nomad life?
Well, I've always dreamed of working remotely from a beach in Bali, but that seems a bit far-fetched, right?
Not necessarily. There are actually specific visas for digital nomads popping up all over the place.
Really?
Estonia and Croatia are known for being very digital nomad friendly.
Huh.
And the Forbes article even mentions Sippy Tabian, who literally wrote the book on European visas.
Wow.
So there are resources out there to help you navigate all of it.
That's reassuring. But wouldn't getting a work visa be a lot tougher?
Yeah.
Especially if you're not like in a highly specialized field.
It can be more challenging, but it's definitely possible. Many countries prioritize attracting skilled workers.
Right.
So your profession could be your ticket in. Take teaching English as an example. Spain and the Czech Republic have programs specifically to recruit English teachers from abroad.
Interesting. So let's say you figured out the visa thing. How do you even choose the right country?
Right.
There are so many amazing places.
That's where things get really interesting. It's not just about a visa. It's about finding a place that truly aligns with your lifestyle and values.
You know, I tend to go a mile a minute here in the US. Maybe a slower pace of life would be good.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
The article mentions that many Americans are drawn to the laid-back vibes of places like Spain and Italy. They have that Mediterranean culture of like savoring life, enjoying good food and company, and really embracing that work-life balance.
Okay, sign me up. But isn't the cost of living super high in Europe? I wouldn't want to trade one rat race for another.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But remember, Europe is a diverse continent. While places like Paris or London can be pricey, Portugal, for example, offers a more affordable alternative.
Yeah.
And they have that pathway to permanent residency we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
The article suggests taking a scouting trip to really experience daily life in your potential new home.
That's smart.
It's a chance to check out the cost of groceries, housing, and transportation firsthand.
That's such a smart idea. A scouting trip would give you a much better sense of whether you can truly picture yourself living there long term.
Right.
But once you've chosen a country and sorted out the visa, let's talk about actually like making the move.
Okay.
All that paperwork and logistics, it seems overwhelming.
It can feel like a mountain of tasks for sure.
Right.
But one thing that surprised me was that getting a visa doesn't automatically mean giving up your U.S. citizenship.
Really?
Actually, have options. Some countries even make the process easier for specific groups like retirees or remote workers.
Wait, really? I always assumed you had to make a clean break from the U.S. to live abroad.
Nope.
So which countries are particularly welcoming to, say, retirees?
Well, Belize has a program specifically for people over 45 with a steady income.
Okay.
And Costa Rica is also popular with retirees because their process is based on proving you have sufficient retirement income.
Gotcha.
Then you have Mexico, which is known for its temporary residence options with relatively low income requirements.
So there are options out there depending on your stage of life and income level.
Right.
But finding a place to live in a new country, that must be a whole other challenge, right?
It is, and affordability is a huge factor. The article emphasizes the importance of really understanding the local housing market.
Right.
Renting before you buy is a good way to get a feel for different neighborhoods and see what fits your budget.
Yeah.
Plus, renting gives you flexibility while you're still figuring things out.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this is all coming together.
Yeah.
But what about healthcare? That's a big concern for anyone considering a move abroad.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Healthcare is essential. And it's a big question mark for many people. But the article highlights some really positive scenarios. Did you know that some countries like Portugal and Spain have excellent public healthcare systems
Wow.
that are available to residents?
Really? So you could potentially have access to affordable quality healthcare without breaking the bank. That changes things.
It does.
But are there other healthcare options if, say, public healthcare isn't the right fit?
Definitely. Private insurance is always an option if you're looking for more flexibility or have specific medical needs.
Okay.
And don't forget to check if your current U.S. health insurance offers any overseas coverage. You might be surprised at what's already included in your existing plan.
That's a great reminder. But let's be honest, one of the biggest worries about moving abroad is figuring out how to make a living. It's a big leap of faith financially.
You're hitting on a major concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the good news is that the article lays out a range of possibilities. If you're retired, you can still access your Social Security benefits overseas.
So retirement abroad isn't completely off the table. What about those of us who are still working?
Well, remote work is a game changer. You can literally work from anywhere with an internet connection. And if that's not an option, some countries, like the Netherlands, have visas specifically designed for freelancers. They call it the Daft visa. To get you, right?
I love that. So even if you're not a retiree or digital nomad, there are still ways to make a living abroad. But moving to a new country can't be cheap. Are there any financial tips you would recommend?
One of the biggest takeaways from the article is to have a financial cushion. Unexpected expenses will pop up.
Right.
And you'll also need to account for currency fluctuations.
Yeah.
Having that buffer can make the transition much smoother.
Okay, that's definitely going on my to-do list.
Good.
But beyond the financial aspect, moving abroad is a huge life change. What's it really like to uproot your life and start over in a new place?
That's where things get a little less about logistics and more about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big adjustment, no doubt.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here in part 1, but I'm ready to dig into the emotional side of things. We'll be back in a flash for part 2, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We just scratched the surface of moving abroad, the visas, choosing a country, and all that practical stuff.
Right.
Now I'm really curious about the human side of all this. What's it really like to just pick up your whole life and plop it down in a new place?
That's a great question, and something the article touches on, too. It can be a roller coaster, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. You're stepping way outside your comfort zone, facing brand new challenges every day, and trying to navigate a culture that's probably pretty different from what you're used to. There will definitely be times when you feel lost, frustrated, or even homesick.
That makes sense. There's got to be an adjustment period, but is there anything people can do to, prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for that kind of change?
Absolutely. The article really emphasizes the importance of managing your expectations. It's easy to get caught up in this romantic vision of living abroad, sipping wine on a sunny patio overlooking the Mediterranean every day.
Right.
But the reality is, life anywhere comes with its ups and downs.
So don't expect everything to be sunshine and roses.
Exactly. There will be bureaucratic hurdles, cultural misunderstandings, and those days when you just can't figure out how the washing machine works.
Been there.
But that's all part of the adventure, right?
I guess it's like anything in life. Going in with a realistic mindset is key.
Right.
But what about those moments when the challenges feel really overwhelming? The article mentioned expat communities as a great resource. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh, expat communities can be lifesavers.
Really?
Especially in those early days when everything feels new and overwhelming.
Yeah.
Connecting with other expats can provide a much-needed sense of community and support.
Yeah.
It's like having a built-in network of people who get what you're going through because they've been there too.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But wouldn't it be better to immerse yourself in the local culture instead of hanging out with a bunch of other Americans?
It's not about isolating yourself.
Right.
It's about having a support system while you're finding your footing.
Yeah.
Expat communities can offer invaluable advice on practical matters, like finding housing, navigating the healthcare system, or even just figuring out where to buy the best groceries.
So it's not just about socializing, it's about getting insider tips and tricks.
Exactly.
But where can people find these expat communities? Are they all online or are there in-person groups too?
You've got options. Online forums and Facebook groups are fantastic places to start.
Okay.
You can connect with people from all over the world who are living in your chosen destination. And in most cities, you'll also find in-person meetups and events, organized by local expat groups.
That sounds like a fun way to meet people and get a feel for the expat scene. What kinds of things do these communities offer besides general advice and support?
It varies, but a lot of groups organize social events, outings, and activities.
Oh,
It's a fantastic way to explore your new surroundings, make friends, and combat that sense of isolation that can sometimes come with moving to a new place.
it's all about finding your tribe, right?
Exactly.
But I imagine that even with a great support system, there are still cultural differences that take time to adjust to.
Absolutely. One of the best things you can do to bridge that cultural gap is to learn the local language.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you only learn the basics, it shows respect for the culture and makes daily life so much easier.
Yeah. I can see how something as simple as ordering a coffee or asking for directions would be a lot less stressful if you could do it in the local language.
Exactly.
But what about those of us who aren't natural language learners?
Sure.
Any tips?
Don't worry, there are more resources than ever these days. Language learning apps, online courses, in-person classes,
Yeah.
and honestly, just immersing yourself in the language as much as possible can make a big difference.
Oh,
Watch local TV shows, listen to music, read books. Even if you don't understand everything at first, you'll start picking things up.
it's like training your ear to the sounds and rhythms of the language.
Exactly. And remember, the locals will usually appreciate your efforts, even if you make mistakes.
I'm starting to get excited about the idea of learning a new language. Okay, so we've talked about the practicalities of moving abroad, the emotional side of things, and the importance of community and language. But we've only talked about this like in a general sense so far.
Right.
What about specific destinations?
Let's get into it. That's coming up in part 3.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into moving abroad. We've covered a lot of ground, the visas, the emotional roller coaster, the power of expat communities. But now I'm ready to get specific. Let's talk destination.
It's time for the grand tour.
Yeah.
The Forbes article highlights some amazing places,
Yeah.
each with its own unique personality.
Okay.
We're talking Portugal, Spain, Italy, Costa Rica, Belize, Mexico.
So many options. Where should we start?
Tough one.
Well, Portugal seems to be all the rage these days.
Oh, for sure.
And I have to admit, those cobblestone streets and pastel-colored buildings are calling my name.
I get it.
But is it really all it's cracked up to be?
It's definitely having a moment.
Yeah.
And for good reason. Remember how we talked about visas? Portugal has that temporary visa that can lead to permanent residency,
Right.
which is a huge draw for people looking to make a long-term move.
Plus, I've heard that the cost of living is relatively affordable compared to other Western European countries. But what about the lifestyle? Does it really live up to that relaxed Mediterranean ideal?
From what I've read and heard from people who've made the move, absolutely.
Really?
The Portuguese are known for their warmth and hospitality,
That's nice.
and the food scene is incredible.
Oh, I bet.
Fresh seafood, amazing pastries,
Uh-huh.
and of course all that delicious wine.
Okay, you're making me hungry. But Portugal isn't the only country in Europe that offers that laid-back vibe. The article also mentions Spain and Italy as popular choices, especially for those seeking a slower pace of life. I'm picturing myself sipping espresso in a charming piazza
Oh, yeah.
or strolling through a bustling market.
Ah, the Italian dream. And it's not just a fantasy.
Yeah.
Both Spain and Italy offer that Mediterranean lifestyle that so many people crave, a focus on enjoying the simple things, connecting with family and friends, and savoring good food and conversation.
And let's not forget about the healthcare systems in those countries.
Oh, that's right.
We talked about how Portugal and Spain have excellent public health care available to residents. What about Italy?
Italy also has a universal healthcare system
Okay.
that provides quality care at a much lower cost
Gotcha.
than what we're used to in the U.S.
Okay.
So you can enjoy that delicious pasta and gelato without worrying about a medical bill wiping out your savings.
That's a win-win in my book. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic now and explore some destinations a little closer to home. Costa Rica, Belize, and Mexico. These countries seem to be popular choices for Americans, seeking a warmer climate and a more laid-back vibe without venturing too far from their roots.
They each offer their own unique flavor. Costa Rica is a nature lover's paradise. Think lush rainforests, pristine beaches, incredible wildlife. And they're known for their commitment to sustainability and ecotourism.
I've always wanted to see a sloth in the wild. What about Belize?
Oh, yeah.
What makes it stand out?
Belize has that Caribbean charm. Crystal clear waters, colorful coral reefs, perfect for snorkeling and diving, and a more relaxed pace of life. Plus, remember how we talked about visas that cater to specific groups?
Yeah.
Belize has a program specifically for retirees over 45.
So if you're dreaming of spending your golden years on a tropical beach, Belize might be your spot.
Right.
And then there's Mexico, which has always been a popular destination for American expats.
For sure.
What's the draw there? Mexico is so diverse. You've got bustling cities like Mexico City, charming colonial towns like San Miguel de Allende, and stunning beach destinations like Tulum.
Nice.
And let's not forget the food. Tacos, mole, fresh seafood.
Oh, stop.
It's a culinary adventure.
My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Plus, Mexico is relatively close to the U.S., so it's easier to stay connected with family and friends back home. But isn't it difficult to live in Mexico long term?
Not necessarily. The article highlights that Mexico has temporary residency options with relatively low income requirements, making it more accessible than some people might think.
So whether you're drawn to the charm of Europe, the natural beauty of Central America, or the vibrant culture of Mexico, there's a place out there waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. This deep dive has been all about exploring the possibilities, and it's clear that there are so many paths to creating a fulfilling life abroad. It really boils down to defining your priorities, doing your research, and taking that leap of faith. It's inspiring to think about all the people who have taken that leap and found happiness and a sense of belonging in a new home.
It's about more than just a change of scenery. It's about expanding your horizons, embracing new experiences, and discovering a different way of life.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked a desire in you to explore those possibilities for yourself.
If you could design your ideal life abroad, where would you go? What would you do? What aspects of a new culture would you embrace?
That's a question worth pondering. And on that note, we've come to the end of our deep dive into moving abroad.
It's been fun.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey and feel inspired to keep exploring the world and all it has to offer.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time.